What is your relationship with difficult? That is a question I just absolutely love to ask anybody that I get a chance to work with. On my way home today, I stopped into a friend of mine's call. Shout out to Nosa and the good folks at Prolific. And we were having a really good conversation about the concept of handling the fact that difficulty is ultimately imminent for all of our lives. We talk about that in sports all the time. If you're a teacher, if you're a coach, if you're a professor, a pastor, anyone who's in leadership, you're often trying to encourage the people that you're leading that, you know, difficulty is coming. And so you want to encourage them, which my good friend JB always teaches us means to literally pour courage into. And so tonight we wanted to have a conversation, at least to start off our conversation, about the realities of what our relationship is with difficult. On the screen here, if you guys can see it, I don't know if you've seen this meme before, but I've seen it throughout the internet here for the last couple weeks. Very, very popular meme. And what it says is marriage is hard, divorce is hard, choose your heart. Obesity is hard, being fit is hard, choose your heart. Being in debt is hard, being financially disciplined is hard, choose your heart. Communication is hard, not communicating is hard. Life will never be easy, it will always be hard, but we can choose our heart. I love this message. It talks about the imminence of difficulty, and it basically puts you in a position as a young athlete or as a coach or as a parent or as anyone who's trying to do something to understand that avoiding difficult is really not even possible because whichever route you take, there's going to be something there that's challenging. So I love the idea. I love the message. We talk about it all the time. What I wanted to add to it today is let's think about this for a second and let's use this analogy. If I have to choose between two things and I'm not really good or I have an aversion to both things, then the entire choice seems daunting, right? You wouldn't say to someone, choose your candy, right? You can have chocolate or you can have gummy bears, but either way, they're diabetic. You have to first address the fact of how they process sugar before you can talk about which sugar they're going to intake, right? And that you could use that across the board. So when I'm dealing with athletes, I want you guys to understand that just choosing your heart is a great, great message, and you do have to choose it. But first, you have to establish what your relationship with difficult is. Are you a fan of it? Or is it something you want no parts of? If it's the latter, I want no part of difficulty. Chances are that this idea of choosing which hard path you go down is going to be difficult. Neither path will seem all that enticing to you. And oftentimes you'll find yourself sad or not, you'll have no joy. You won't be happy doing anything. So I don't know if you guys know anyone like this, but I know some people who are married and think it's hard. And then if you say, "Well, okay, get a divorce," they'll tell you about all the legalities in it, and being single is hard. And so they're looking at both and they're saying, "I don't want either one of those." So my thing is, I think it's very important for us to talk to ourselves, and that conversation really only exists within ourselves, and begin to almost be attracted to difficulty. And I have a couple pointers on how to do that, or I should say, why to do that. If my relationship with difficult is really, really strong, here's the great thing about it: it actually makes life easy. If I'm enjoying what I'm doing when I'm in something challenging, when someone says that I can't do something, it actually wakes me up and gets my spirit going. And I know something is going to take everything in me to accomplish. And my eyebrows go up and I'm interested in that. Then suddenly the challenge isn't so challenging. On the back end of that, we all know that when you do difficult things, like, say, for example, saving money can be difficult, budgeting money can be difficult. But if you do that difficult thing because you've learned to love it, then what happens on the back end of being successful with that difficult thing? You end up having an easier life. Your bank account is more safe and secure and sound. And when things come your way, you're able to pay for them. So the path to easy is actually through difficult. That's a key point that we try to teach here at AGB. And I'm excited to talk to you guys today. It's been a while since we've come live, but we're here live to just have some fun and talk about some things that we think are helpful to you as you're on your journey throughout your week. It's Wednesday, and we just want to check in, say hello, and talk about youth sports, talk about business, talk about life. Now, I don't know about you guys, but October for any sports fan is the greatest month of the year. Everything's in play, right? Basketball preseason is coming up. Football is in full swing. We're about a quarter way through the season. And then playoff baseball is here. And I don't think there is a sport in the world that is better at teaching us how to have a good relationship with difficult than baseball. So let's bring in my main man, JB. Welcome him back from Romania. Talk about difficult. uh JB, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing good, Rick. Good to be back. Good to be back, and excited to dive into playoff baseball. Right? What a time! October, the leaves are changing. As another reminder, things are always changing. Right? What a fun season to be coming into.
Well, we can't. We're going to do that. Let's talk some baseball. But before we do that, you got to tell us about your
Absolutely.
trip to Romania. What was it like?
Oh man, absolutely. So that was first. That was my first mission trip, and it kind of flipped what I envisioned mission trips kind of on the head. With this style, it's called business as ministry. And shout out to Ryan Crozier and the Crozier family. They use this company called the Good Bureau, and what they do is they invest in local leaders, boots on the ground, instead of the traditional where you fundraise for a few years and then go and use that fundraising in the country of your choosing. And so he's standing up businesses, standing up leaders, creating communities. And we had the opportunity to go in and basically experience and see and be witnesses and now have testimonies of what these awesome people of Romania are doing. And it's so excited. Handful of different opportunities, a new church going up. Got to work with an awesome woman leading the charge in human trafficking and sexual exploitation out there. And then just also just like building up new growing communities within like the first post-Christian church out there, intro church. Felt like I met someone who was like, I was just like a brother from another mother out there. Shout out Daniel. Like the dude is just like filled with, I thought I had energy, Rick, like hitting the hype button, like something you're always praising on. But man, I felt like I was going to hold a candle to this guy's energy. And it was just such an amazing experience, both spiritually and just like mentally, emotionally. Very
That's
much.
good, man. That's good. So you want to talk about difficult things, and you were doing a difficult thing, going overseas and pouring your heart into other people. What I was doing, meanwhile, was a very difficult thing, trying to survive a week of AGB without you, which which is not easy because you hold down the tech, man. We did a couple lives, and I was scrambling trying to figure everything out. So it's good to have you back, man. So all right, we've been friends a long time, and now our friendship is now on the line with this question: who is going to the World Series? Who do you got?
I mean, come on, Texas Rangers. We just got a big win coming off today, eliminated Tampa Bay. I already know where you're going, but come on, Texas Rangers. That they are primed. They're ready. They're gonna got a fun face off next week. I mean, shout out to AG community. Get to watch this go down. What's coming up next week? What's the next matchup here? Because I know who you root
Man,
for.
it's simple. It's an old saying, the bird is the word. That's what it is. It's finally, man. You guys don't understand. I have been an Orioles fan since I was 8 years old. I met Cal Ripken and Billy Ripken. They came to the elementary school that I was at, and they did a speech. And I didn't know much about baseball at that time, but they were just the nicest guys ever. And so ever since then, I was an Orioles fan. I used to fall asleep watching Cal Ripken and uh, Jerry Harrison and Mike Bordick and Scott Erickson. I mean, names you guys don't know, but I love the Orioles. Fan, where rarely are we good. We won the American League East, and we are good this year. We got a young team that everybody can mash it. The pitching staff is doing their thing. Our closer went down, which is not great. He had Tommy John, but we still got some back end closers, and I think this is our year. So I'm calling it right now. I'm saying Orioles, Braves, Orioles in 7.
Okay.
What you
All
got?
right. Um, I, I'm gonna have. I think the Astros are gonna come out of the American League, and I'm gonna root. I'm pulling for Philly. I just love the energy that team plays with, and so I think I would like to see Astros Philly face off here. So
Phillies.
if you're out there, throw it in the comments. We'll come back at the end. I want to see what are you thinking? Who's going to win? I shout out to the Twins. I don't know. Leading up to this, it was like a 12, 14 game, losing streak of that playoffs, and now they won last night, but they just won earlier today and are advancing for first time in a long time. So a lot of exciting things. But why is it, Coach Rick, that seems like the playoff atmosphere is bringing out the best or the worst in some of these players?
I mean, there's just
Talk to us
nothing
about
like
that.
it. There's just nothing
Yeah.
like it. I mean, you're talking about, and we're going to get into a lot of the things that we love about baseball here in a second, but playoff baseball, I don't think there's anything like it in sport. The intensity builds literally pitch by pitch, and you've got this entire like marathon of a season behind you, and it can all come down to just minor things that happen on a baseball diamond. And it's, I mean, the crowd gets into it. Every pitch matters, and it's just a ton of fun. And I'm actually surprised. I love this idea now that you've got, and all the sports are doing this, but baseball was so drastically not like this in the years past, where pretty much almost every team has a chance to win now. I mean, they got it to the point where it's like they got the rules in place that you can play small ball again. They cleaned up the game, and now you got Minnesota, Tampa, Diamondbacks. Some of these small market teams are in the playoffs, and it gets communities excited. It isn't just Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers every year. So I think that's awesome. But I'm actually surprised that that Tampa is out that early. I mean, I think they were just one of the more consistent teams
Hey,
throughout
the
the year,
Rangers,
but
man. Yeah,
but
but
it,
I mean,
yeah,
but that gets to the point. You're talking about the marathon. Like, you could be, a lot of games lead up to it. You have a great season, and 2 games right here. You just don't have your 2 best games. It's a lot of. That's what makes it so fun, right? A lot of pressure on these 2 games comes down to it.
right. So in general, beyond just the professional baseball, which we love, this playoff baseball is so thick with emotion and tension, and I can't wait till Saturday when the Orioles kick off. But beyond just professional baseball, like what do we love about that sport? And I want to cue this up by saying that you guys know me. I mean, I'm basketball, is my number one sport through and through. But I think it's so important, even if you are a hooper, to learn from every sport. And this what to love about section of what we do is really about making sure we pull out the beauty of each thing, not just for itself, but how it applies to the thing you're doing. So if you're a football player, what can you learn from baseball? If you're a baseball player, what can you learn from hockey? That's a holistic way about approaching your athletic career. So even as a basketball player, these are the things that I, as a basketball player, love about baseball, right? And the number one thing for me is it teaches a relationship with failure better than any sport I can think of, because in most other sports, under 50% would be failure. In baseball, 30% is considered Hall of Fame. It's considered like out of this world, really good. You hit 300, and if you hit 400, I mean, you're just like iconic, right? And only a handful of people have done it. So that means the best of the best of the best fail 60% of the time, right? And the best fail 70% of the time. And then there are millionaires who are failing 80% of the time. I mean, there are guys hitting 200 that are still making millions of dollars to play a sport. So then that tells us as athletes, no matter what sport you play, that failure is not necessarily a deterrent to success. It just so happens to be part of it. And when you watch any young baseball player play, you you see them going through that relationship with every at bat. I mean, every pitch, right? Strike, ball, contact. You could rope a ball, JB. I mean, you could have the perfect swing, go right through the zone, rope it, and it goes right to somebody's glove. And it's an out,
Mhm.
and you failed. But your hips were in, and you made contact. So it's a beautiful sport that it gives us an opportunity to fail and then have a good relationship with that failure. What do you think?
Yeah, no, 100%. It puts you in that spotlight in many ways, to have we call it the opportunity to fail. And for me, it brings back like to those early days on the pitching mound, and just like every pitch, especially when you're struggling to find that strike zone, every pitch is a mental battle, and it just the strike zone just you can't find it sometimes, and being able like while your team's depending on you, you got the other team coming up to bat each time. Like these are those moments that you get where you can practice. Okay, I've just walked the last three batters, bases are loaded. Like now what? Like can I get this next batter out? And it's just such a great opportunity that it puts you in, and it's difficult, right? I know for me, if you were playing with me those early years, like I was not great at handling those emotions on the mound. I was very much a wreck, if you will, and so it has taught me a lot those youthful days of being on the mound.
Yeah, yeah, and I have a story. I know you had that story you told in our course, which shout out to all of our HB members who are consuming the course and coming with us live on Sunday nights. It's not too late to do that if you guys want to get involved with what we're doing. We're taking this whole AGB thing and making it very personalized and helping you guys go through your sports journey. So if you're interested in that, go over to our website, agbcoaching.com. But people are doing that, but I know in that course you talked about your story of baseball where you had, you're a little emo, playing the game when you're young, right? I mean, talk to us about that, man. What did you learn from those times?
I just talk about like the opportunity to just like overcome an emotion. So like the emotions clearly were in control of young JB in those situations, right? But then learning like one, that's not okay, and then two, I have all my teammates like literally like waiting for me. Like I am pitching the next pitch. Like you're on the mound, so like getting it together. And so just like understanding that those emotions are going to come and arise, but then how to in the middle of a game attack it, if you will, and be able to move forward with it. And obviously in those moments, not perfect, but like clearly middle school and then transition to high school, like just that much of battling emotions and working with your emotions in a sports game transitions to everything, like a relationship, saying something with like my dad, trigger, right? You feel that rise, but then not, succumbing to that emotion, not letting that emotion ride you or drive you. You just become aware of it. And that it's okay, to be frustrated, to feel that fear, but then you start unpacking what it actually is, with and what it's for, and the driver behind it.
Yeah, I think that raises a great question that I would ask to parents or even athletes. If you're either with us live now or if you're watching this on replay, put down in the comments like your thoughts on this. What is the proper reaction to failure? Like, is it possible to be too nonchalant about it? Like how much do we want to see a reaction? Like I think as coaches, I think if we're honest, we want to see some sort of reaction. A lot of times we can interpret a passionate reaction as passion. Guy misses a shot and he's really, really frustrated and it seems like he cares. We do like that. But then there's that moment where it goes overboard where it's like, okay, now he's not getting back on defense or he can't make the next shot. One of the things that I know I always find a way to bring things back to basketball, but I can't help it. So one of the things that makes Kobe or Michael or some of the greatest is that their ability to miss. Like that's a skill set that people don't acknowledge enough. Like, oh, like Kobe shot too much. Yeah, but that's hard to do. A lot of people who miss 3 in a row will not take that 4th shot, at least not with confidence. And it's a skill set to be able to fail. And so I know that in baseball they do that, but I'm wondering, can it be too much? Can you have such a kind of indifference about it that it becomes part of your DNA? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it could definitely. I think you could take it the wrong way, and it could actually become crippling. Like the no action, right? The inaction that it could lead to.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I think I was pretty balanced, and I think I got better as my career went on. I think some of the things we talk about. We know the connection between sports and life. And if it's just about sport, you're usually okay. But sometimes if you got some things going on personally where you're not feeling your optimal self, you're not extremely confident in who you are, then what happens is you put a lot of weight on what you are, right? And if what I am is over 5 and I'm not confident in who I am, I'm going to put a lot of weight on that over 5. And so coaches, you guys will
Yeah.
see that a lot when you see a kid or a young athlete who is really really down based off of, moderate misses or moderate failures. Oftentimes that's a sign that something else is going on in their inner psyche, their sports psyche, their self-confidence. And so address it from that point of view, not necessarily in what they are, whatever their stats are, over their last 8. When you're on that mound, JB, and you've got 3 people that have hit in a row, the only thing you can control is your next pitch and the technique of that pitch. You can't really pull any of those other things back. So anyway, I know we're long on this first one, but it is my favorite thing. And we didn't do a top 10 list, but I wanted to start with the one thing about baseball that I love the most, that any athlete, no matter what sport you play, you can learn. Have a great relationship with failure. It makes you more successful. Now, this one is also kind of cool, right? I mean, is there another sport that we can think of that is such a one-on-one game and such a team game all at once? Like, I know in every game there's these little one-on-one moments. It's a game of inches in football, they say. In basketball, I use a term called Harlem and Harvard, where like in Harlem, like no one's running any plays, right? Like they're giving the ball to the best player and you're just cooking the guy in front of you. And that's the one-on-one element of basketball. But baseball is literally like designed to be a showdown between pitcher and hitter. Pitcher's trying to do his best one on one against a hitter who's trying to do his best. And so, in that way, it's very much a selfish game. All I have to do is be the best hitter ever, and then I can contribute to a team sport. As opposed to, in other team sports, if I'm a great shooter, but a terrible defender, I can hurt us, What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, no, I know we were talking a little bit before, but the transition that it goes through from pitch to pitch, and then on a hit, that the gameplay that it introduces. So I feel like it does a great job of transitioning from both, and that's why, especially in the postseason, when 162 games up onto a one series leading down as the game goes, like the last 9 outs, like a baseball, playoff baseball, like just the buzz around a stadium and the impact each pitch brings. It's very unique, and that's why I think 100%. I think it's the best one that transitions between both.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention about how we apply this to what we're doing. Like we believe it or not, believe there's power to selfishness. I know that's such a dangerous thing to say because the world is ultimately right now too selfish and too self-absorbed, and I think we all need to do a better job of being selfless. But in a very strange way, my research and my life has shown me that oftentimes the fastest path to being selfless, to contribute to something greater than yourself, is to be self-sufficient, is to be self-confident, is to be self-aware, is to have self-control, is to have self-esteem. So all of those things require me to take care of me. And baseball is that. If you've got self-control, you've got self-awareness, you have self-esteem, you can contribute to the greater selflessness of a team. And I think it's an awesome, awesome relationship that we can all learn from. All right. This one you've heard a million times. Anyone who loves baseball will tell you, especially in June or July, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And as a sprinter, I can tell you that's oftentimes why people don't like baseball. It's something that I think they've done a great job of addressing this year, as far as trying to speed up the game a little bit, trying to keep up with technology and the shrinking of our attention spans. They've done a good job with the pitching clock and different things like that. But not just the game itself, but the season is so long. It's so long that like you could go on a 10-game losing streak in April, May, June and not be out of it. You could go on a 20-game winning streak in the middle of the season and not secure anything. And so it's just an ultimate test of patience. And not getting ahead of yourself and trusting the process. You know how I feel about the book, The 2% Way. If you guys are looking for a good book that tells you or encourages you to take your time and to love yourself through a process, The 2% Way is a great, great book by Myron Rolle. And it says you don't have to flip the whole 98 in one day. You know, you don't have to go from good to great overnight. You don't have to go from bad to good overnight. You just incremental, just 2% every day. Just get a little better every day, fall back, go again. And and baseball allows that. It gives you space to breathe and just take your time.
Yep. And not even like you zoom out, look at the season and the entirety of the games, but even in the game itself, like they've sped it up definitely to keep it within that, that 2-3 hour block. But 9 innings, that's a marathon in and of itself, right? You could go 0 for 2 to start the game, and then your next 2 at bats could be the difference. And so baseball, amplifies this marathon concept it tenfold.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, you're talking about an easy simile for life, right? So much of what we do in our life, it just takes time. It just takes time. And we have to, back to what I said in the opening piece, you just have to have a great relationship with the time that it takes. Enjoy it, trust the process, enjoy the process, want to kind of be in the muck of getting better. Enjoy that. If you live there and you're comfortable there, then that means you're comfortable being uncomfortable, which means you're never uncomfortable in a very strange way. And that's what I love. I love to kind of like mix up those words and make sure people feel a sense of hope no matter where they are. All right. Now, before we get into the last one, I got to ask you, give me top three baseball movies all time.
I mean, for me, number one is Sandlot.
Okay.
And that's the movie I go to when I think baseball.
That's a good one.
42 is pretty good. This came
Okay.
out. I don't know if you've seen that one. Jackie
Jackie
Robinson.
Robinson, of course, yes.
Yeah. Man, right on top 3. What about you?
Put down in the comments, guys. I want to hear, if you're watching, tell us what your top 3 baseball. Give me your favorite. What's your favorite baseball movie all the time? Obviously, Major League. That it's just it's hilarious. Bull Durham is good. Here's the one. I don't know if a lot of young people have seen it, but we grew up watching this one. It's kind of melodramatic and kind of ridiculous now that I go back and watch it as an older person. But I used to love this movie as a kid. You ever seen The Natural? Where Roy Hobbs hits the ball and the cover comes off the thing. Yeah, okay. So you got some homework this week. Go watch The Natural. It's about a guy who goes back to playing baseball in his old age. Is great. But no, so yeah, but you hit the nail on the head, right? And I didn't watch Sandlot when I was a kid. I didn't see it until I got older, and I knew about coaching and about leadership opportunities when the first time I watched it. And this scene is like a perfect example of the leadership opportunities that you can see in baseball. So let's look at this. Watch this together in case you haven't seen it. Do I have to play it over here?
Yeah.
Ever have a paper route?
I helped the guy once.
Okay. Well, chuck it like you would throw paper. When your arm gets here, just let go. Just let go. It's that easy.
How do I catch it?
Throw his eye.
Just stand there and stick your glove out in the air. I'll take care of it.
About time, Benny. My claws are going out of style. They already are, sweet. Shut up. Told you, Benny.
Smalls! Throw to second.
Okay.
Told you so, man.
He's out.
Okay, play some ball. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I knew it. How's the time? Yeah.
It's such a cool scene. Such a cool
Absolutely.
scene. What's happening?
There you go.
Going into the whole movie now. No, so okay, so here's what that makes me think, right? How many, if you're the best player out there, how many of the best players out there are taking time to take care of the worst players out there?
Mm.
Ask yourself that. You're a captain, you're that guy, you're that girl. Everyone looks up to you. You're the best player in the neighborhood. You make every team. You're the starter. You got all the points. Newspaper knows your name. You're on your way. Do you know the worst person on your roster? Do they know you? Have you shown them any love? Have you taken care of them? That's what Benny does in that scene that I think we can all learn from. Let's take it a step further, JB. Let's leave the world of sports. You're the boss. You're the CEO. It's your company. It goes as you go. And someone's working in your mailroom. Someone's working in the beginning process of your company. Do you know their name? Are you taking time to see how they're doing? Right? Even on a smaller scale, you're the manager of one team in a particular company, and you've got a performer who isn't performing. How are you taking care of them? What belief are you instilling in them on a day-to-day basis versus simply just managing them? Benny could have easily, very easily, and this is becoming more and more popular. He could have easily been like, well, I'm going to pick teams because I'm the baddest dude here, and I'm going to put this kid on the other team and make his opportunity to win that day a lot easier. Benny says, not only am I going to put you on my team, I'm going to show you how it's done. And I'm going to instill some belief in you, and then I'm going to hit it right to you. I'm going to use my skills to make life easy for you. How cool is that, JB?
That's awesome. It's a perfect example of leading by action, right? Let your actions do the talking for you. And baseball and I love that scenarios like you're laying out with like the ownership of a business. Like we've heard that saying, you're only as strong as the weakest link on your chain. And to me, I think that's all relational, right? The team is only going to break down when you don't have those relations. And so like having that opportunity to be, if you are that best player, like take that time, get to know everyone on your team. How can you help? Because if you elevate, the lowest, that elevating the team. That's when you get special environments. That's when you get, those special teams that do those special runs in this time of season of playoffs, right? When everyone is bought in.
So here's a time where we have to wrap it all up and put it all together and admit, guess what? That's difficult. Like I'll be honest with you, as a coach whose job may depend on me winning and losing, it is difficult for me to spend a ton of time on the worst player. I've got to spend all this time getting my practice plans together and doing all these things and trying to help the best players be successful. It's hard for me to find time to instill belief in the kid who's last on the roster. And same thing, if you're a captain, you've got to take care of yourself and keep your captainship and live up to expectation and potential. That's got burden to it as it is. And so it's difficult to go outside of yourself and take care of others. And so I take you back to the beginning where we talked, what is your relationship with difficult? If you have a good one, then get in there, mix it up, want that challenge of being selfishly one of the best players, be self-aware, be self-confident, be self-motivated. But when you are those things, then use that to hit it right to somebody else. Just make life easy for them, make success easy for them. And this is something I share all the time. Here's the crazy thing about it. When you can do that, it actually brings more value to you. So the relationship actually has an inverse to it. If I take some care of myself, so much so I'm able to add value to other people's lives, then I add more value to my life. I ask you a question, JB. Who makes more money at every company? The person who only takes care of themselves, or the person whose job it is to take care of other people?
In traditional, usually the former,
Right. If you have,
unfortunately.
if you're a manager, or a leader, a CEO, a boss, right? Your job is to lead other people, to add value to other people. You're probably making more money as the more you go up that ladder.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much value in being able to add value to other people. And so yeah, you're right. Yes, you're right. Some people rise to the top just by taking care of themselves, but most of them have a crash that's coming. you know, if they got there on the backs of others, but if they get there by taking care of people, they're going to sustain that success.
Absolutely. And that relationship will help it. And shameless plug, right? If that is you, you're in those opportunities, like getting into a community and where you can be held accountable is what we're all about here. And so like getting in with the AGB mentality, it's not just a course, right? That's something that we're trying to bring to life and something we're doing. And, I was just really inspired to, be away last week and come back and seeing, our good friend Joe Bush out there, like not only just like taking this challenge, but bringing it into his school and like, seeing that reel that's out on our story right now. Like that's what this is all about. We're trying to create community where we take these words, but we put them to action. Right. And that's what this is all about. And so if you're listening to this, like, we just appreciate you taking that time, but like, let's take that next step together. Right. Coach Rick, like let's get in here together. Let's continue to grow and always get better. Cause that's what we're here doing with this whole thing. So
that's right. If you are a baseball fan, a baseball player, then I encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and listen to our interview with Rob Cruz. Rob Cruz, hitting instructor. This guy was bringing so much heat to that podcast. Go check that out. You're gonna love it. If you are another athlete, you love another sport, or you're passionate about something else, we just want you to take this content and realize that there is something to love about every sport or every subculture, and we can apply it to our own. Passion is passion. Success is success. Relationship with difficult is relationship with difficult. And so that's what we love about baseball. We love coming to you guys. Thank you for engaging with us. Shout out to the lovely Lindsay Williams for working the chat for us tonight. And it's just a ton of fun to come live. And this is we're not scripted. A league of their own, no doubt. No doubt. Lindsay dropping that from Rockford. She has to drop that. That's one of the best ones. But yeah, we're back on schedule. JB's back in town. We'll be back with you guys next week with some more. If you guys have any questions, give us some ideas. If there's things you want us to bring to these lives, things you want us to talk about, we're in. You want to come on and chop it up with us, we're in. Send us an email. We love coming on live. So we'll see you guys next week. Until then, always get better.
Woo.